I'm Roger Stone, and I'm proud to say my guest today is Paul Stone, the Chief Executive Officer of Colonial Medicals Group. He's one of the country's leading authorities on gold and precious metals and their role in our economy. And well, Paul, I'm delighted to have you on the show today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you're working on a book which is entitled 1971.
That's
That
correct.
is a crucial date, of course, because that's when President Richard Nixon, who resigned 48 hours ago, 50 years ago, took us off the gold standard, closed the gold window. In two books I've written on Richard Nixon, I thought this was among his very biggest mistakes. I knew that John Connally, the former governor of Texas, was among of those who talked him into it, but till I spoke to you yesterday, I never understood why Nixon did this. For the first time ever, I learned exactly why he made this decision and why it still has ramifications today.
Yeah, it wasn't a truthful reaction to a problem the government had been causing and perhaps caused for Nixon. He's not sitting there, no president, I don't think, has the mental capacity to sit and watch all the bills getting paid that go through the Treasury or all of the things that are needed by every single state or what the military expenses are, right? They're dealing with more high level things to work on. What had been happening is the government was printing money past the amount of ounces in the vault, creating an excessive money supply past the amount of ounces of gold countries had donated and held here in America. So we could consider that mass of gold as a total unit backing the dollars that we were putting out to the world, and everyone would use our currency. Commodities would be priced in our currency. And as we started to send off smoke signals of concern, other countries wanted their gold back, and Nixon's government wasn't going to be able to give it to them, and that would be a giant embarrassment and also probably send shockwaves of fear around the globe and fracture alliances that had been put together and enjoyed for a while. So they just said a meeting at Camp David with a few advisors. They just came out and said during a uh, episode of Bonanza, which to me is just, I mean, it's just disgusting how you would just not call a presidential news conference in the evening for the whole country to watch. You just kind of shoot off into a show a lot of people are watching at the time and tell Americans that gold has nothing to do with their money.
Yeah, I think among his greatest mistakes, also up there with wage and price controls, but we can talk about that another day. Gold has had an extraordinary rally. It's doing extraordinarily well. But one of the questions I have is if the Federal Reserve, who seems to be behind the curve here, comes up with a series of cuts, rate cuts, how do you think that will affect the value of gold?
One, and I'd also like to say I'm not a trained economist, I'm not a financial advisor, and don't mean to give anyone any financial advice. But what I do mean to do is throw some illumination, throw a light on things that folks may not be acutely aware of. And then having that awareness, I'm helping people do their own research. And if they feel they need to learn more, they just give us a call or find us online at colonialmetalsgroup.com. When it comes to the Federal Reserve, this, the world functioned without a Federal Reserve, right, for a long time. So it was created in 1913 by some folks in the banking industry. And if we think about a business and what it's going to focus on, if you're dealing with agriculture, right, you're going to deal with farmers, right? If you're dealing with banks, you're going to deal with money. And when we think about how we all use money, that resource, I believe it's been a one-sided show for the corporate world versus the American individual consumer world. To me, having a Federal Reserve is like asking a committee to manage our weather. Now, if you think for a second, could a group of 20, 50, 100, 500 people at their computers manage our weather? Do you think that would go well? So when we talk about interest rates being manually set and trying to game the system and try to kind of flatten out and control our financial weather, it's not going to go well. Rates, though, have always seemed to be averaging around 5 or 6%. That's normal. That's kind of where we are now. When you're jumping on the gas pedal, when you're cutting rates and jumping on the gas pedal and flooding the world with cheap dollars, it must be because you're in dire straits financially behind the scenes and you're trying to goose the system and have things that want to die and bust, not die and bust. That's the only reason you would disrespect our great currency by having interest rates at zero, like we did during the Obama administration. So here we are again at normal rates, and the world's complaining it wants its money to be cheap and free. And that's another sign of a massive issue as well. No one respects the dollar, and no one wants to hear the word no, and no one wants to see anything go lower in value.
Very interesting. Now, I have thought as the government clearly is moving towards digital currency, which to me is a very, very scary idea. The idea that you'd be issued a card, you'd use this card when you bought groceries, when you bought gasoline, when you bought anything. But if the government didn't like your, say, your pattern of purchasing, didn't like how you were spending your money, you couldn't spend your money. It would seem to me that gold would be an excellent way to hedge against what appears to me, sadly, coming sooner or later, which is an entirely 100% digital system in which your paper money is no longer accepted. I went to a restaurant 2 nights ago. I tried to pay for a small pizza with cash, and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, we don't take cash." Very scary. I think gold is part of the answer here, no?
Absolutely. And you had said earlier in your opening remarks, that gold is doing really well. Here's what's bad about gold doing really well. It means that there are massive untruths and fragilities in your financial world. You want gold to be at 50 bucks an ounce. You want the government solving real problems by engaging with the people in society that know how to solve those problems. You would rather the government be a facilitator and a matchmaker trying to marry up issues that they're hearing about because they all sit in DC with the people in the economy out in society at large that know how to solve those problems and put these people together, and then cut from programs elsewhere to find the money to make that solution come to fruition. Not just reach behind them and bring $1 trillion forward, print that money and think that that's going to solve a problem, because it doesn't. So gold at $2,400 an ounce is fact that you have holy hell going on beneath your feet elsewhere in the economy, the fundamentals. When we talk about the dollar itself being printed, stop thinking of it as money for a second and think of it as a resource. And let's think of it as something that came out of the ground like copper and gold and silver, things that we need to support human life today. Let's just look at it that way. Let's look at it as a commodity. Commodities come out of the ground or they grow off of a tree or a bush, right? So if the dollar mine started getting tapped into because of Nixon's decision in 1971, where he literally removed the limits from governments staying constitutionally sized, now they can outgrow what the Constitution says they can be. Now they can interfere with all of the things that mean something to us human beings living here. Now they can wreck the process of what it's like to be in the pursuit of happiness. The dollar mine, they have removed 97% of the value of that mine. It would be a cavern so enormous you could park every single plane in the world inside that hole in the ground. And 3% remains for them to extract. And so what happens when that resource is exhausted? Yes, to head that off, you would change the currency. And like you're saying, a central bank digital cryptocurrency is computerized money. And they can literally see every transaction that happens as it's happening, as you swipe. And that signal gets sent currently off to Visa or MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. That signal would be swept off to a government agency. And if they don't want you eating as much red meat as you're used to enjoying, they decline the purchase. If they want to throw out an executive order that says, you know what, we're just putting a moratorium while we do some research and analysis on the ammo and gun industry. We're just putting a moratorium on purchases for guns and ammo for the next 6 months. Let the Supreme Court challenges come. That's the kind of power that they're moving toward. And what I'm just trying to message is that I'm not anti-government. What I am is pro-constitution. I'm for the design that came out of the minds that left the monarchies and risked their lives sailing on little wooden ships across the Atlantic to set this great country up. I'm for that. I'm for the preservation of truths and principles, because you really can't have much if it doesn't stand on those. We can't build skyscrapers out of straws.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking to Paul Stone, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Colonial Metals Group. He's working on what I think will be a fascinating book about the 1971 decision to take America off the gold standard. Paul, I know very little about cryptocurrency. I have a small retirement, and I'm seriously thinking about diversifying into gold. I don't trust paperback money. I think we're going to go into hyperinflation. Spoke this morning to Barry Habib, who's widely viewed as one of the experts on the mortgage and housing industry, but also a shrewd economic analyst, not a trained economist, but a shrewd economic analyst. He says he thinks gold is going to 3,000. And if that's the case, well, it's time to diversify my own IRA, which has suffered badly under this administration.
I want to see everyone do well. I want to see everyone live free. I want to see everyone be able to give and receive, right? I want to see people's retirement savings grow. But here's where I think you can find stronger credibility in gold and silver. Does it have to go higher? So if we look back at just our own American financial history, since World War II, '08 was the 10th recession in our nation's history since World War II. That tells me it's cyclical, and it tells me the government can't prevent them. It also tells me, looking at how bad '08 was, they aren't even aware of how bad things can actually get. So that's one. So what if, when I saw these mathematical triggers warning me of a recession, and if we think of math as a language that can't lie, 2 + 2 = 4 every time. Whatever planet you want to go visit, jump up and down, uh, you know, uh, from a podium screaming that you wish the numbers were different. It doesn't care. Math doesn't care. Math is a language that is only truth, right? So if we start thinking about the only thing that fixes bad math is good math, and the government isn't going to bring you any good math, then defending your savings by moving it, by relocating your savings out of the dollar-based things that you have today into gold and silver. Does gold and silver have to go up for you to win? Because then you're just at least avoiding things going lower, or you're avoiding having your money in something like Enron and watching it disappear, or you're seeing the value of things destroyed when a currency change has to happen. This would be the third currency change in our country in less than 100 years. 1933 was the first, 71 was the second, this will be the third. All the European countries gave up their currencies in '03 for the euro. You live long enough, currency change actually starts to feel normal. Why? Because governments preside over futility and failure because of their ineptitude. They cannot function efficiently enough to actually run things like a business. Government payroll today is $1.4 trillion a year. When Reagan took the office, in 1981, he was pissed off about the government payroll being as big as it was at $75 billion a year. Today, it's 1.4. Do you think can you imagine an organization that had hundreds and millions of employees actually running well? So gold and silver is a defensive position if in your heart and minds and the research you're doing is telling you, your spidey senses are tingling, telling you you should be concerned about things. You're just relocating your savings away from known risks when you make that move into precious metals.
All right, folks, we've been talking to Paul Stone. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Colonial Metals Group, which is, they really excel at maximizing your retirement assets and your savings and help you make secure and effective planning. Yes, gold and precious metals should be part of that calculation. Paul, when your book is done, I want you to come back. This has been great. I've learned quite a bit myself. God bless you, and thanks for being here.
Oh, Roger, thanks for making time for me out of your busy schedule. It's an honor to be on your show, and I appreciate you having us.
Many thanks.
Thank you, sir.